a lawyer. I'm just sitting here having coffee and working on my case files.
I don't care what you say you are. You've been here too long. Time to go.
Too long? I bought coffee 30 minutes ago. The staff hasn't said anything. Why are you asking me to leave?
Because I'm telling you to. Now get up and walk out or I'll remove you myself.
Touch me without a lawful reason, and that's a civil rights violation.
Officer Daniel Vasquez had 11 years with the Philadelphia Police Department, but only 6 of those years on downtown commercial patrol. He was known for what his supervisors called proactive enforcement of loitering policies, particularly in upscale coffee shops and retail areas that catered to professionals. One Thursday morning at Rittenhouse Coffee House, his assumption that a black man working on a laptop didn't belong in an expensive cafe would cost the city $3.9 million and destroy his law enforcement career permanently. A black man in his late 30s, Christopher Banks, was simply sitting at a table next to the window with his laptop, legal briefs spread out in front of him, a half-finished latte beside his keyboard. He was wearing a dress shirt and slacks, his suit jacket draped over the chair, preparing for a court appearance later that afternoon. No disturbance, no complaint, no violation. Just an attorney doing what thousands of professionals do in coffee shops every single day. But Officer Vasquez saw him and made an instant judgment rooted in prejudice. He believed a black man sitting alone in an upscale cafe must be loitering, possibly homeless, definitely not a paying customer who belonged there. That false assumption triggered a confrontation that would include demands to leave, a physical removal attempt in front of other customers, and a federal civil rights lawsuit that would expose how racial profiling targets black professionals even in everyday public spaces. Before we continue, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. Stories like these need to be shared, and your support helps us bring more truth to light. Rittenhouse Square, Philadelphia. An upscale neighborhood where historic brownstones face a beautifully maintained park, where professionals meet for lunch, where coffee shops serve as unofficial offices for lawyers, consultants, and entrepreneurs. Rittenhouse Coffee House sat on the corner of 18th and Walnut, floor-to-ceiling windows looking out onto the square, exposed brick walls inside, the smell of fresh roasted beans filling the air. It was 10:45 on a Thursday morning. The cafe was moderately busy. A few business people having meetings, some students with textbooks, a couple on laptops working remotely. The usual mix of customers you'd find in any downtown coffee shop. Christopher Banks had been a criminal defense attorney for 12 years. 12 years representing clients in Philadelphia courts, arguing motions, negotiating plea deals, and taking cases to trial. He'd worked at a prestigious firm for 7 years before opening his own practice 5 years ago. His client list included everyone from first-time offenders to executives facing white-collar charges. He'd been recognized by the Philadelphia Bar Association. He'd mentored younger attorneys. He'd built a reputation for thorough preparation and aggressive advocacy. That Thursday morning, he wasn't in court. He had an appearance scheduled for 2 o'clock, a pretrial hearing for a client facing assault charges. He'd come to Rittenhouse Coffee House to review his motions, prepare his arguments, and go over the witness statements one more time. He preferred working in coffee shops before court. The ambient noise helped him focus. The caffeine didn't hurt either. Christopher had arrived at 9:30, ordered a large latte and a croissant, paid with his credit card, and settled into his usual table next to the window. He'd spread out his files, opened his laptop, and gotten to work. He'd been there a little over an hour, completely absorbed in his preparation, occasionally sipping his coffee. He was doing exactly what he did several times a week, exactly what dozens of other professionals in Philadelphia did every single day, working in a coffee shop, paying for his drink, bothering no one. But to Officer Daniel Vasquez, none of that mattered. Daniel Vasquez had joined the Philadelphia Police Department 11 years earlier after serving 4 years in the military. His training officers noted his discipline and attention to detail, but also his rigid interpretation of rules. He'd spent his first 5 years in various assignments, traffic enforcement, neighborhood patrol, special events, security. When he moved to downtown commercial patrol 6 years ago, his approach raised concerns almost immediately. In 6 years working the downtown area, Vasquez had generated 14 complaints. 12 of them involved Black or Latino individuals questioned, asked to leave, or removed from businesses where they had every right to be. A Black woman asked to leave a bookstore because Vasquez thought she looked suspicious, despite her being a regular customer. A Latino teenager removed from a restaurant because Vasquez assumed he couldn't afford to eat there, even though he'd just ordered food. A Black man questioned in a hotel lobby and asked to prove he was a guest, despite having a room key. An elderly Black woman asked to leave a department store because Vasquez thought she was loitering when she was actually waiting for her daughter. Every complaint had been reviewed. Every complaint had been closed with a familiar bureaucratic language. Officer was enforcing business policies. Actions were within discretion. Recommend additional training on community engagement. Vasquez attended the trainings. He sat through the workshops. And then he continued seeing black and brown people as inherently suspicious, continued assuming they didn't belong in upscale spaces, continued using his authority to remove them. That Thursday morning, Vasquez was walking his regular route through Rittenhouse Square when he glanced into the coffee shop and saw Christopher sitting at the table next to the window, surrounded by papers, focused on his laptop. Vasquez's mind didn't register attorney preparing for court. It registered black man taking up space, someone who'd probably been sitting there too long, someone who probably bought one cheap coffee hours ago and was now loitering, someone who didn't fit the profile of the usual Rittenhouse clientele. He walked into the cafe, his hand resting near his belt, his eyes fixed on Christopher. Do you think officers should be allowed to question paying customers in businesses without a complaint from staff? Drop your answer below. Christopher was deep in a witness statement, making notes in the margin, when he sensed someone standing near his table. He looked up and saw the police officer, and his first thought was that something had happened outside, an accident maybe, or an incident in the square. Officer, is everything all right? Vasquez's tone was flat, authoritative. How long have you been sitting here? Christopher blinked, confused by the question. I don't know, maybe an hour? Why? What's going on? You need to make a purchase or leave. Christopher gestured to his nearly empty cup and the crumpled pastry wrapper. I did make a purchase. I bought coffee and a croissant when I got here. Vasquez looked at the cup skeptically. That was an hour ago. You can't just sit here all day. Christopher felt the first stirring of frustration. All day? I've been here an hour, and yes, I can sit here. I'm a paying customer. I'm working. Working on what? Christopher's frustration deepened. Does it matter? I'm sitting in a coffee shop, working on my laptop, like dozens of other people in here. Why are you questioning me? Because you've been here too long, taking up space. Too long? Christopher looked around the cafe. Half the tables were empty. The people at the other occupied tables had laptops out, books spread across surfaces, clearly settled in for extended stays. No one else was being bothered. Officer, I'm a paying customer. I haven't violated any policy. The staff hasn't asked me to leave. Why are you targeting me? Vasquez's expression hardened. I'm not targeting anyone. I'm enforcing loitering policies. Loitering? I bought coffee. I'm sitting at a table. How is that loitering? You need to leave. Now, Christopher's voice rose slightly, disbelief breaking through his professional composure. I'm a lawyer. I'm just sitting here having coffee and working on my case files. Vasquez's tone turned cold, dismissive. I don't care what you say you are. You've been here too long. Time to go. Christopher couldn't believe what he was hearing. The arbitrariness of it, the targeting, the assumption that he, specifically, didn't belong. Too long? I bought coffee 30 minutes ago. The staff hasn't said anything. Why are you asking me to leave? Vasquez moved closer to the table. Because I'm telling you to. Now get up and walk out, or I'll remove you myself. The cafe had gone quiet. Other customers were watching now. A young white woman at the next table had her phone out, already recording. A man in a business suit near the entrance had stopped mid-conversation, staring at the scene unfolding. Christopher looked at the officer, then at the other customers who'd been sitting just as long or longer, none of them being asked to leave. He looked at his case files spread across the table, his laptop open to legal documents, his bar association card visible in his wallet sitting beside his phone. And he understood exactly what was happening. This isn't about how long I've been here, Christopher said, his voice steady but laced with controlled anger. This is about what I look like. You walked in here, saw a black man, and decided I didn't belong. Vasquez's face flushed. I'm asking you one more time. Get up and leave. No. The word hung in the air. Simple, defiant, necessary. Excuse me? I said no. I'm a paying customer. I haven't violated any rule. I haven't disturbed anyone. I'm not leaving because you've decided, based on nothing but bias, that I don't belong here. Vasquez reached for Christopher's arm. Then I'm removing you. Christopher pulled back instinctively. Don't touch me. I haven't done anything wrong. The cafe manager, a young white man named Tyler Morrison, rushed over from behind the counter. Officer, what's going on? Is there a problem? Vasquez gestured to Christopher. This man has been loitering. He needs to leave. Tyler looked confused. Loitering? He's a regular customer. He comes in here all the time. He bought coffee this morning. He's not bothering anyone. Vasquez's jaw tightened. He's been sitting here over an hour. Tyler glanced at the other customers, several of whom had clearly been there longer. So have other people. We don't have a time limit. As long as customers buy something, they're welcome to stay and work. That's literally our business model. I'm enforcing loitering policies. There is no loitering. Tyler's voice was firmer now. He's a customer. He paid. He's welcome here. I'm asking you to leave him alone. Vasquez ignored Tyler and looked back at Christopher. Last chance. Get up or I'll arrest you for trespassing and disorderly conduct. Christopher stared at him, rage and disbelief warring in his expression. Trespassing? In a business where the manager just said I'm welcome? Disorderly conduct? For sitting quietly at a table? Do you hear yourself? Get up now. The woman recording spoke up, her voice shaking slightly. This is insane. He hasn't done anything. Why are you doing this? Vasquez whirled on her. Ma'am, put that phone down and mind your business. This is my business. We're all watching you harass someone for no reason. Other customers were pulling out phones now. Multiple people recording. Multiple witnesses. Tyler stepped between Vasquez and Christopher. Officer, I'm the manager. I'm telling you officially that this customer is welcome in my establishment. He has not violated any policy. If you remove him, you're violating his rights and mine. Vasquez's face was red now. Whether from embarrassment or anger, it wasn't clear. Step aside, sir. I will not. You need to leave my cafe. Now, are you obstructing a police officer? I'm protecting my customer from harassment. Should coffee shop managers face legal consequences for defending customers from police harassment? Let me know what you think. A second officer arrived, having been radioed by Vasquez. Officer Michelle Torres, an 8-year veteran who'd worked downtown long enough to recognize trouble when she saw it. Vasquez, what's happening here? Refusing to leave after loitering. Managers being uncooperative. Torres looked at the scene. Christopher sitting calmly at his table next to the window, surrounded by legal documents. Tyler standing protectively nearby. Multiple customers recording. The half-full cafe with empty tables scattered throughout. She walked over to Tyler. Sir, what's your position on this customer? Tyler didn't hesitate. He's a regular. He bought coffee. He's welcome to stay as long as he wants. Officer Vasquez is harassing him without cause. Torres turned to Christopher. Sir, can I see your receipt? Christopher pulled out his phone, showed his credit card transaction from 90 minutes earlier, large latte and a croissant, $12.45. Torres examined it, then looked at Vasquez. He's a paying customer. The manager wants him here. What's the issue? He's been here too long. Torres gestured around the cafe. So have other people. I don't see you asking them to leave. They're different. The words came out before Vasquez could stop them. They're different. And everyone in the cafe knew exactly what he meant. Torres's expression shifted. Kyle, step outside with me, now. Vasquez followed her out, leaving Christopher sitting at his table next to the window, still surrounded by his files, his hands shaking slightly from adrenaline and anger. Tyler put a hand on Christopher's shoulder. I am so sorry. That was completely out of line. Your next coffee is on the house. Hell, your next 10 coffees are on the house. Christopher nodded, but didn't speak. He was trying to process what had just happened, trying to understand how preparing for court in a coffee shop had nearly resulted in his arrest. Torres and Vasquez spoke outside for several minutes. Through the window, customers could see Torres gesturing firmly, her body language making clear she was not pleased. When they came back in, Torres walked directly to Christopher. Mr. She paused, waiting for his name. Banks. Christopher Banks. Mr. Banks, I apologize for this situation. You have every right to be here. Officer Vasquez made an error in judgment. Christopher's voice was cold. An error in judgment? He tried to physically remove me from a business where I'm a paying customer, where the manager confirmed I'm welcome, based on nothing but the fact that I'm black. That's not an error in judgment. That's racial profiling. Torres didn't disagree. You're right, and we'll be documenting this incident. If you want to file a formal complaint, oh, I'll be filing more than a complaint, Christopher said. I'm an attorney. I know exactly what my rights are, and I know exactly what just happened here. He started packing up his files, his hands still shaking. Sir, you don't have to leave, Torres said. You're welcome to stay. I know I don't have to leave, but I can't work here now. I can't focus. I'm too angry. He closed his laptop, gathered his papers, and stood. Tyler, thank you for standing up for me, but I can't be here right now. Tyler nodded, understanding. I'm really sorry, Christopher. I mean it, and I'll be filing a complaint too. This is my business, and no one treats my customers like that. Christopher walked out of the cafe, his case files tucked under his arm, his morning destroyed, his preparation interrupted, all because Officer Daniel Vasquez couldn't imagine that a black man in a coffee shop might actually belong there. By early afternoon, the story had spread across Philadelphia. Multiple customers had posted their videos online. The footage showed everything. Vasquez approaching Christopher without cause. Christopher showing his receipt, Tyler defending his customer, Vasquez's statement that the other customers were different, Black attorney kicked out of coffee shop by police, lawyer harassed while preparing for court, Philadelphia cop tries to remove paying customer based on racial profiling. The outrage was immediate. The legal community rallied around Christopher. Other attorneys of color shared similar stories. Coffee shop owners across the city condemned the incident. The Philadelphia Bar Association issued a statement of support for Christopher and condemnation of the police action. Civil rights attorneys contacted Christopher within hours. This wasn't just about an unlawful removal attempt. This was about the fundamental assumption that Black people don't belong in upscale spaces, don't deserve to work in peace, don't have the same rights as white customers to simply exist. The lawsuit named Officer Daniel Vasquez, Officer Michelle Torres, and the Philadelphia Police Department. The claims were clear: attempted unlawful removal without cause, racial profiling in a public accommodation, violation of civil rights, intentional infliction of emotional distress, deprivation of rights under color of law. The city's attorneys reviewed the case and knew immediately it was indefensible. Video evidence from multiple angles showed everything. Christopher as a paying customer, Tyler confirming he was welcome, Vasquez attempting removal anyway. Vasquez's own words, "They're different." The city settled within 10 months, $3.9 million. Christopher donated a portion to organizations fighting for equal access to public spaces and supporting attorneys of color. Officer Daniel Vasquez was terminated 13 weeks after the incident. The termination letter was direct and final. Officer Vasquez attempted to remove a paying customer from a business based solely on racial bias. Despite confirmation from the business manager that the customer was welcome, and despite the customer providing proof of purchase, Officer Vasquez persisted in harassment. His actions violated department policy, state law, federal civil rights protections, and the basic principles of equal treatment. His employment is terminated immediately. Vasquez's name went into the National Decertification Index. His law enforcement career ended permanently. He attempted to appeal. The union initially supported him, but withdrew once the videos went viral and the legal community mobilized. Vasquez issued a brief statement. "I made a serious misjudgment. I allowed my perception of the situation to override the facts. I apologize to Mr. Banks and take full responsibility." No one cared. The Philadelphia Police Department faced intense scrutiny. How had Vasquez, with 14 complaints involving racial profiling in commercial spaces, remained on patrol? Why had supervisors ignored the clear pattern? What training existed to prevent officers from targeting people of color in public businesses? Internal Affairs launched a comprehensive review. The findings were predictable. Complaints filed but not seriously investigated. Training completed but not internalized. Officers who saw Black people in upscale spaces as inherently suspicious, rather than as customers with equal rights. Reforms were announced. Mandatory training on racial bias in commercial enforcement. Prohibition on questioning paying customers without business owner complaints. Real-time body camera review for all public accommodation incidents. Community oversight with enforcement authority. Christopher Banks became an advocate, speaking at police reform hearings, community forums, and bar association events. His message was unwavering. "I'm a lawyer. I've argued in front of judges. I've defended people's constitutional rights, and I was nearly arrested for drinking coffee while Black, for working while Black, for existing in a space where Officer Vasquez decided I didn't belong. That's not policing. That's enforcement of segregation with a badge." He paused during one particularly powerful speech, his voice thick with emotion. "Every Black professional I know has a story like this. Being followed in stores, being questioned in hotels, being asked to leave restaurants. We achieve, we succeed, we earn our place, and still we're treated like we're trespassing in spaces we have every right to occupy." The audience was silent. This wasn't just bad policing. This was a window into how racial bias polices space itself. Officer Vasquez didn't see an attorney preparing for court. He saw a Black man and immediately assumed he didn't belong, couldn't afford to be there, must be loitering. He couldn't imagine that a Black man might be a lawyer. He couldn't imagine that success and Black skin coexist in upscale spaces. He couldn't imagine that the coffee shop, like all public accommodations, belongs to everyone equally. His bias was so embedded that he ignored the receipt, dismissed the manager's confirmation, and attempted to physically remove a paying customer. All because his worldview said black people don't belong in Rittenhouse Square coffee shops. Systemic racism operates through assumptions about who belongs where. It's the belief that black people in nice spaces must be questioned. It's the refusal to see us as customers, as professionals, as people with the same rights as everyone else. It's the weaponization of police authority to enforce informal segregation. Daniel Vasquez's career is over. That's justice. The city paid $3.9 million. That's accountability. But money and terminations don't undo the violation. They don't erase the humiliation of being told to leave a place where you have every right to be. The real question is, what changes now? Do departments finally understand that black professionals have the same right to work in coffee shops as anyone else? Do they finally train officers that paying customers can't be removed based on skin color? Do they finally accept that profiling in public spaces isn't law enforcement, it's discrimination with a badge? Because if we don't fix the system that kept Vasquez on patrol with 14 complaints, if we don't address the bias that taught him to see loitering instead of lawyering, then we're just waiting for the next officer, the next victim, the next professional who has to prove they belong in a space they've already paid to occupy. Comment if this should be law. Any attempt to remove a paying customer from a business without owner complaint triggers automatic investigation and suspension. And if you believe these stories matter, if you think black professionals deserve to work in peace, then hit that subscribe button, because we're going to keep exposing these patterns. We're going to keep demanding change. We're going to keep fighting for equal access to every public space. This isn't just about one officer or one attorney. It's about all of us and the spaces we're willing to share or the segregation we're willing to enforce.